True, salamander sapien, belief in human rights is extremist and un-American. I know y'all are joking, but I swear, it's not a joke. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening. I know I can't help myself, I'm a radical lunatic. I see that. It's based, red-pilled, and alpha to spend $65,000 on a routine procedure. True? How extremely woke of you, depraved ambiance. What's next? You show empathy? I know, right? How could anyone possibly? Guys, like, it's bad. It's really bad. But we'll get to that. There's a lot of bad. Everywhere. Empathy is not only un-American, it's a sin. Apparently it is now. You guys understand that under the new national security directive, that the guy who bombed the Mormon church this weekend would be considered either less of or equally as much of a terrorist as the actual church that got bombed because they're not the right kind of Christian. Which is pretty insane when you think about it. All this talk about humans having rights sounds like communism. A little bit. Guys, I know that we're all trying to cope with jokes here, but I hope you know that, like, every single one of those posts could be used as evidence against you now. Because a national security directive means that they are now wiretapping you and spying on you, and if they see you as Antifa, well, I mean, they can do pretty much whatever they want. It's not like an executive order. It's far worse and more serious than an executive order. They already have plenty of my messages they can use. Yeah. Yes, they do. And they probably will use them eventually. So, we'll talk about all of that in a bit. I do want to move over to another pressing topic that is coming to a head today. Not as much so, like, on the politics side of it domestically in the US, but much more internationally. And that would be the global Flotilla. As they get closer to Gaza, they seem to be about a day out. I think the expected arrival would be tomorrow. And it's getting pretty bad out there, to the point where now there is also the Turkish Navy also shadowing the flotilla on top of Spain. I believe Italy might still be around. They might have sent their ship home. I'm not actually sure. Greek Coast Guard was around when they were in Greek waters. It's not exactly normal to have all of this military activity around a bunch of civilian vessels. It just tends to be that way, considering a lot of the people on these ships are citizens of those countries. And Israel has threatened to kill them, to bomb them, to arrest them, to kidnap them, to treat them like terrorists. And the flotilla has officially crossed the line where the last flotilla got attacked and they all got grabbed. So let's take a look.
The ships of the global Sumud Flotilla are approaching the last part of their journey, with 2 or 3 days of sailing before reaching the waters in front of the Gaza Strip. This will be crunch time for the civilian-led convoy carrying humanitarian aid for Palestinians, as the Israeli Navy is likely to block the vessel's passage. Israel will not allow ships to enter a combat zone.
Passage was just a really funny thing to hear there,
said Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar. The flotilla crew seems prepared for the risk.
Quello che ci aspettiamo è che, come è successo con le barche precedenti, a un certo punto ci sia un intercetto delle forze israeliane che potrebbero intimarci l'alt e potrebbero arrestarci. Questa è una cosa che mettiamo in conto. È chiaro che nessuno vuole fare il kamikaze, nessuno vuole fare il martire. Quello che vogliamo fare è far crescere la pressione politica e diplomatica attorno a questa missione, soprattutto perché l'obiettivo è Gaza, non è certo la missione stessa. Quindi fare in modo che una volta arrivati lì la pressione...
All right, Comrade Lily. Things are always bad. It's just getting worse here. I mean, it's getting worse everywhere. It's not any one place. It is a global enshittification of everything. It's not just the first world either. I mean, like, it's all of it. The people that are a threat to us, the people that are a threat to Palestine, the people that are a threat to Congo, they're all the same people. It's just the rich.
Sul governo di Israele, non sulla flottiglia, sia tale che si possa essere utili al ripristino di questo corridoio umanitario.
The flotilla was attacked by drones while sailing in international waters a week ago. The attack damaged some of the boats, forcing the fleet to pause in Crete, and led a few people from the crew to disembark. After that episode, the Italian government proposed that the flotilla leave the humanitarian aid in Cyprus to be transferred to the Gaza Strip, under the supervision of the Catholic Patriarchate of Jerusalem. The flotilla's board refused the offer, despite maintaining an open dialogue with the Patriarchate.
Yeah, just go all the way over there and drop off all the aid in Cyprus so that Israel can deal with it. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Not only does it feel that things are getting worse in many ways, but it feels like all governments are like becoming slop. Yeah, fascism slop is pretty widespread. All government operates like clickbait now. Yep, that's on purpose. There is an active war against critical thinking all around the world, and that's one of the ways they do that. The general sophistication of the human civilization feels like it's falling off a cliff. It is, and it's on purpose. Part of the way that they like push for that is this black and white mentality of like good and evil, right and wrong. You're either pro-Hamas or you're pro-Israel. You're either anti-American or you're pro-American. There's no in between. That is part of that.
Il governo italiano in Europa
Hey, Jack.
blocca la sospensione degli accordi di associazione con Israele. Il governo italiano non ha messo l'embargo sulle armi, il governo italiano non ha preteso che ci sia un cessate il fuoco e un ripristino degli...
What do you really expect out of Italy? Meloni is a fascist, and like, to be clear, like they've said more than I expected them to. Of course, they just say shit. It's not exactly any real action coming from that. It's really bad, not just because things are getting worse everywhere. It is though. It's really bad. The genocide and the Holocaust we've been doing to the third world is visibly coming here. Oh, of course. I mean, it's spreading everywhere as well. I tried talking to my friend about the new memorandum, and he's also against it, but then he started going off about things unrelated to politics and just went off into Islamic extremism. Sure, of course he did, because brain rotted. Intellectualism is kind of liberal and lefty, so shit, like even capitalist intellectualism is out the window now. I mean, to be fair, they could declare it terrorism to be an intellectual soon. I wouldn't be all that surprised. What's up, y'all? Welcome in. We're gonna get any like words? Ah, here's some words. They're words that I can't understand.
We are very happy
There we go.
because yesterday we joined the rest of the boats coming from Italy, Spain and Tunisia, and we united as one common fleet of 44 ships. Our next destination is Gaza. Our mission is to break the illegal Israeli siege and create a people's humanitarian corridor. We rise to end the genocide of the Palestinian people. We sail against the
44 ships. Yeah, like that is a lot. Since you've kind of freaking out since we talked last night, I'm gonna figure out what I can do. Yeah, I might freak you out a bit more today when we get to America. Sorry, mate.
complicity of our countries. Demand safe passage for our vessels, because no one is free until we are all free. All eyes on Gaza, all eyes on the fleet.
It is really important that we pay attention to this fleet, even though, like, there's no shot that even if they managed to make it to Gaza, that this would stop the genocide. It wouldn't. It's good what they're doing, but it won't stop the genocide. the reason that you need to be paying attention to this is because they might just kill these people if we're not paying attention to it. So, you know, hello, fellow dissidents, have you broken the law yet? I think I did immediately. So, you know, there's that.
Our common cause here is to break the siege of Gaza and to contribute to the Palestinian struggle. We urge all people to follow us, to keep an eye on us, and help Palestinians finally achieve their liberation.
Which is great, and I do support that. It's just, how likely is that when, under the current circumstances, like everything is exactly the way that it is, they're very much doing a genocide. It is the final solution time, but we have 30 House Democrats signing a letter criticizing countries for recognizing the state of Palestine. 30 House Democrats. Every single one of these people, I mean, to be fair, I was going to say should be primaried, but I'm pretty sure we're not getting an election again. Not a real one at the very least, so, you know. It is absolutely fucking disgusting. It's good to stay informed and stay calm, and I think that comes with having a reasonable personal plan. I agree. I think it's important to have a plan of what to do in case of emergency. What did you do? I think I said something anti-capitalist, so that would be terrorism now. Anyway, let's keep going. I mean, they're gonna ban everyone very soon. I don't want to sound black-pilled, but it's kind of hard not to be. But we'll get there when we get there. I'm saving America for next. Let's finish up with Israel and Palestine first.
Numerous attacks on our humanitarian mission to Gaza, we have gathered credible intelligence that Israel is likely to direct escalated violent attacks on the flotilla within the next 48 hours. And several governments have now reached out to citizens on board the global Smooth flotilla, warning them about an imminent Israeli attack, one that could be bigger and potentially deadlier than anything we've seen so far against our peaceful humanitarian mission, completely abiding by international law. Israel has, by desperately fabricated smear campaigns claiming we are terrorists, been laying the groundwork for attacks.
Oh, look, that's happening everywhere. Yep, laying the groundwork for an attack and laying the groundwork for the entire shutdown of any discourse on the subject. Guess who comes into play here? Larry. Best frog hat? Always best frog hat.
Against us, using the same genocidal propaganda it deploys daily against Palestinians. And there is no doubt that attacks so far have been part of tactics to intimidate us and further dehumanize Palestinians, adding to the long list of war crimes committed against civilians in the Palestinian cause. Because they are scared of the power of the people, and they know that the world does not stand with war criminals. But we continue undeterred.
She is
and the
right.
closer we are to Gaza, the bigger grows the risk of escalation towards us. And this is not about the flotilla. It is about Gaza, where over 2 million people remain trapped and systematically starved under an illegal siege, and where bombs and attacks are part of.
Still shocks me how much propaganda was dedicated to slandering this woman when she was like 15 years old. I mean, back then she was very specifically an environmental protester, so the fossil fuel companies went in because, I mean, they hate humanity and life and happiness and just all good things, so, you know.
Their everyday life. We call on governments everywhere to fulfill their legal obligation and end their complicity in genocide, ensure safe passage for more than 500 participants from 45 countries, and we call on people all over the world to raise their voices for Palestine, for Gaza, for humanity.
Do it now while you still can, because you will not be able to pretty soon, I would say. But let's continue on with the statements from people on the flotilla, and then we'll talk about why you might not be able to. It's not nearly as bleak as you believe it is. Oh, it is. It is. The thing is, you're not going to be able to organize. Period. Like, do you know who owns TikTok, for example, now? Larry Ellison. Do you know who's in charge of moderating it now? It's the IDF. Do you know who is buying up media all over the world? These same people. Do you know the, plan that was agreed to today between Trump and Netanyahu, the peace agreement? It literally cuts up Gaza into techno-states. Peter Thiel gets his little bit, Elon gets his little bit. It is worse than you're imagining. But be patient. We'll get there. We still have to look at the human aspect of this first, and then we can go into the politics of it. Everyone needs to tell everyone to get off TikTok. It's okay. They're doing it already. A lot of the people are moving off TikTok on their own, and to be fair, a lot of them are just going to get banned, so they won't have a choice. Where do we go is the other issue.
Relieved.
Because there's not anywhere we can go. There's nowhere to speak on the subject. So what? They can buy every corporate media, and we can have state-run media that shows that they are weak. What state-run media?
We expect to be intercepted.
They can have state-run media, this shows that they are weak. Yes, as long as there are people who are thinking, but if you're not seeing anything that they don't allow you to see, then you're not going to come to the realization that they're weak because there's nothing to indicate that you get to see that they're weak. Fox News is state-run media, sure. But now social media is state-run media. Very, very soon. In a week, all of the big social media companies are going to go to Congress and have a hearing on why they allow left-wing radical terrorists on their platforms. We have Israel, the Israeli company Cyberwell, that's going to be in charge of monitoring for anti-Semitism based on their own definition on all social media platforms with AI and just deleting posts, banning people. That all starts in about a week. Let alone the fact that we're all declared terrorists for even organizing, even just stating that what's being done is evil, or that, Israel is committing genocide, or that America is supporting genocide. Oh, sorry, that's un-American ideals. That's extremism now. This is only the beginning. If this is going to continue, and it is, and it's been day by day getting worse, I can see quite a lot more people being willing to risk, to sacrifice, to fight, but I can also see quite a lot of people being less willing to do so because their own personal safety and their family and their freedoms are at risk. I think you downplay the American people. We aren't as pro-Trump as you think. I don't think that you are. I think the vast majority of the country is anti-Trump, and I think that doesn't help because what is the vast majority of the country doing? They go to work every day. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think can be realistically done by the people at this point? The military is out there all over the place. They've killed people already, Comrade Lilly. People have died at protests already. And you don't see it. The stuff that we're seeing is bad. The stuff that we're not seeing is so much worse.
Either tomorrow night or Wednesday night, and by intercepted I mean kidnapped in international waters by Israeli commandos and brought to the nearest port to be processed by the Israeli authorities. And we never had any delusions or naivety about the high possibility that this might happen, right? Look at previous missions. That's always been the outcome, the end result. But nonetheless,
I've spoken about the path forward. It's not what you think it is. The path forward involves people that are awake, Americans that are aware, that are against authoritarianism to leave the United States right now. That is the best chance that we have for success. The home front is collapsed. There's no shot anytime soon. We'll need years to prepare. People need to leave, go to other countries and fortify those other countries. We still have a chance to save humanity. We can save America too, but you're not going to succeed by using 5 guys to attack the Death Star at the height of its power. Rhetorically, obviously, no attacking is being done except by the police against the radical left terrorists, as the president would say. The average American might be too rich to take risks in terms of super chaotic resistance, but maybe they will think of something creative. I would hope so. I think that you will have a much higher chance of thinking of something creative by doing the only thing that we know that these people are weak against, which is an international decentralized political insurgency movement. You know, just gaining support in other countries and cutting off American influence and propaganda operations in those countries and strengthening them. I mean, look at what Russia's been doing for the last 10 years with the cyber attacks, with the election interference all over the world. We're doing that too now. That's a pretty massive risk to everyone's security. I did think Blue Sky was meant to be some kind of alternative to suppressive apps. Not particularly. Just getting in a few bugs still to hammer out for my Onion Routed YouTube chat client. Paste. Got him when you said what you're not seeing is worse. For what that's worth, can confirm. Yeah. I don't think it's abandoning the American people. I think it's the opposite. I think by staying and trying to fight under these conditions, that's suicide and abandoning the American people. I think by leaving and forming an international resistance that is much more likely to succeed, you are not abandoning the American people or the fight. I think it is pivoting to a better strategy, a more successful, less risky strategy, whereas the current strategy, I think, leads to death and imprisonment. Can we hold off on this subject until we get to America? Like, I know a lot of you guys are not particularly interested in the Sumud Flotilla, but I mean, like, this alone could start World War III. You guys realize that, like, Israel is calling out China, saying that they're housing Hamas in Beijing, right? I mean, like, this is all tied together. There's not a single massive conflict in the world happening that isn't related to another massive conflict in the world. Also, like, NATO is involved here. We got Turkish naval ships and drones shadowing the flotilla. I mean, like, Israel and Turkey have beef. Like, this could escalate if things go poorly. Now, I don't particularly think Israel is going to escalate with Turkey or China. I think that's just a lot of talk that they're going to do. But based on how America's involved, that I can see changing. For example, just today, the Pentagon said that we need to double our missile production because we might enter a conflict with China soon. It's a complex field of strategy being employed by all of these different countries in a small area, mind you, that could very quickly get heated if something goes wrong. I mean, like, again, a drone could try and, I don't know, attack one of the flotilla ships, and then, like, a massive gust of wind out of fucking nowhere pushes it into, I don't know, like a Turkish ship nearby. That could be an issue. Do I think that that's likely? No, but it's important. What do you think will happen when Credo realizes Hamas still uses fossil fuels? I think she already knows. You're gonna get banned, because we're not putting up with any fucking trolls in this chat. Out. Do not come back. Oh, prediction, not prediction. Holy crap, I need glasses. I mean, I'm not predicting anything. I'm not predicting. I'm just saying what is being said, what's being reported. This from today is a Turkish drone, for example.
Flight tracking data shows Turkish drones circling an international aid flotilla heading for Gaza. Turkey has joined Spain, Italy and Greece in monitoring the flotilla, which was sailing east across the Mediterranean Sea on Monday, despite warnings from Israel to stop the mission. The global Sumud Flotilla is carrying parliamentarians, lawyers and activists, including Swedish climate campaigner Greta Thunberg. They have vowed to breach an Israeli naval blockade around the embattled Gaza Strip.
Now, beyond just the flotilla, there's also a lot happening. Now, like, one last thing on the flotilla. This is Israeli news in Israel calling for, like, the murder of the flotilla crew.
לגבי המשט עצמו זה 40 כלי
As for the flotilla itself, that's 40 vessels.
שיט ויותר. זה אירוע מאוד
It's a very, very complex.
מאוד מאוד מורכב, ובהחלט יכול
and could definitely end up in high friction.
להסתיים בחיכוך גבוה ובאבדות
Loss of
בנפש
life and property.
וברכוש, ואני סומך על חיל הים שהוא יעצור. אני לא חושב שמישהו או מי שהן מהספינות האלה יגיעו לרצועת עזה.
I don't think anyone from those ships will reach Gaza. Now, like, also, this is the guy who oversaw the 2010 Mavi Marmara raid that killed 9 people. 9 people. So, you know, there's that. What's up? State your thesis. Also, interesting thing found in Gaza today. Kind of, I might actually commit a small crime here. This is a bulldozer that is currently spraying gasoline into this building. And then using it as a flamethrower. You know who else did stuff like that? You know, bulldozers and flamethrowers. Well, it was the Nazis. It was the Nazis. Yes, exactly, Captain Buggy. It was indeed the Nazis. It was indeed Nazis. By the way, it's wild that, like, American Christians, like, I mean, even our ambassador to Israel, just recently, said that insulting Israel is like insulting your wife. Motherfucker, this is what they think about you.
I just want to say this to our Christian friends, you know, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you know, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us, because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying.
All right, they're probably going to copyright me if I keep playing that for my whatever fucking song that is. But here's another one. Here's another Israeli rabbi talking to a Christian. I wonder what America thinks about this, especially under the new anti-Christian laws, specifically, actually.
That is the godly thing to do. We respect one another.
The godly thing to do is to kill you.
The godly thing is to kill me.
That's right.
Yes?
That's what the Torah says.
The Torah says to kill us.
The Torah says that people who worship idols such as yourself, when there is a Sanhedrin,
to kill us.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what the Torah says.
So we know how the Jewish people feel about Christians, yes? That you discriminate against Christians.
Christians are idol worshippers.
You discriminate against
Christians. The Torah says that Christianity is idol worship.
That is a rabbi arguing that Christians should be killed, actually. That's a I'm not saying that. I don't believe that. They do. I don't believe you should die for your religious beliefs. Well, I think that, like, if you hold them and you are willing to die for them, that's one thing. But I don't think you should kill people over their religious beliefs. I don't think you should kill people over what they say or believe. It's what they do that matters. Now, I don't think you should be going out there killing folk either. I don't, advocate for violence in any way. But we're talking about their point of view. Jesus famously was not a fan of every Jew. Jesus was fucking Jewish, too. You guys understand, like, the level of insanity that's going on here? Because it's not often talked about. But, here, let's start with this one.
Shlomo Sand is a Jewish-Israeli professor of history at the University of Tel Aviv. And he asked the question, where is the evidence for a Jewish diaspora from Palestine? And the answer he found was, there is no evidence for...
As in, where, like, is the evidence of Palestinians back in the day converting to Judaism? There is none.
Mass Jewish diaspora from Palestine in the archaeological record. There is, however, overwhelming evidence for Jewish Palestinians converting to Islam at the time of the Arab conquests, as well as Judaism being a normal conversion religion like any other, and white Europeans converting to it. So the situation we find ourselves in presently is descendants of white European converts to Judaism are genociding the descendants of the ancient Judeans who are now Muslims. You have descendants of white European Holocaust survivors who are Jewish, genociding, doing a Holocaust to the descendants of the ancient Jewish people. And these people are being supported by anti-Semitic Christians who worship a literal Palestinian, who only care about this because they want the Jewish people there so the rapture can happen, so they can cause the fucking end of the world.
That is the level of ridiculousness we are on. The descendants of Holocaust survivors and white converts to Christianity, not Christianity, to Judaism, are currently doing a Holocaust to the ancient Jews that then converted to Muslims, like the descendants of the ancient Jews that converted to Islam. White guys killing Jesus' great-grandkids. Essentially, yeah. That's what's happening right now, and no one talks about it like that either. Like, that's never brought up. But I would also very much like to remind you that people are not a monolith anywhere. And young people, by the way, are killing it everywhere. Madagascar's government just dissolved because of youth protests. That's now a few different countries where youth protests have taken down the government. I'm seeing straw hat pirate flags fucking everywhere. Everywhere. I've seen GI Robot mixed with the straw hat pirate flag. Like, the youth of the world are pissed. Rightfully so. You know. Oh, what's up, the Queen Matriarch? I'll make a correction. American Christians don't worship a Palestinian. They worship a scam artist German descendant. That's also true. But, Jesus was a Palestinian. By the way, here are some Israeli youth who are anti-genocide. It's not impossible to, even in a circumstance of significant repression, which Israel does engage in on its own population, these people are willing to go to prison. These people are willing to lose their freedom. These people are willing to lose their safety to stand up against genocide. Burning army draft papers means they will go to jail. You have to go to the army, like the IDF, when you get drafted, or you go to jail. The correct answer is go to jail.
In one sentence, why should people refuse to serve in the Israeli army?
Because there's a genocide and you don't enlist into an army that's committing a genocide.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to jail, like, regardless. It is not, like, isn't it illegal to call it a genocide in Israel?
In one sentence, why should people refuse to serve in the Israeli army?
The IDF is continuing to behave the same way it's behaved since Israel's founding, which is furthering horrible death and violence and a circle of blood for everyone.
Because the Jewish state that trying to present me wanna exterminate the people of Gaza. And we can't be silent. Never again is now for everyone.
Never again is now for everyone. I agree.
Because it is committing genocide and it's not helping not Jews and not Palestinians. We are all in danger because of the Israeli army.
I see an anti-fascist action flag.
שום פעילות, הפגנה, כתבה, לא משיגה את הכאב שגורם רצח העם בעזה. הצבא של המדינה אליה נולדתי, על כל חייליו מגנרל לטוראי, הוא האחראי הראשי לזוועות הללו.
This chick is brave for doing it there. Like, good for her. I like seeing the protests, but bit late for everyone here. I mean, like, all across the board. I'm not talking just Israel. I mean, everyone should have been out on the streets protesting much, much more loudly a while back. And the ability to organize to do so is now very much under attack. For example, now, after the purchase of TikTok by Larry Ellison, let's take a look at, like, what Larry Ellison believes in relation to Israel, what his connections are. Well, first off, this is Larry. He is the executive chair and CTO of Oracle, and this is him speaking about Israel and the IDF in 2014, really. Friends of the IDF, quote, Gala in Beverly Hills, where he reportedly donated $9 million, making him the event's largest donor. Quote, the renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches us all. For over 2,000 years, we were a stateless people, and now we have a country of our own, blah, 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 blah. I need an ethno-state. This guy loves Israel. And this guy owns not just TikTok, but also Paramount, and is also watching all of you. Everything that you do online, he profits from.
Tell us, what is your connection to Israel?
Well, he's also the guy that built China's surveillance system, just so you know.
The renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us. For 2,000 years, we were a stateless people. And now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them who, devote their lives for
Paramount's bought everything, even the UFC recently. Yep. They're also trying to buy, what was the company that owns CNN? Essentially, they're monopolizing the entirety of the media, both mainstream media and social media.
Preserving the state of Israel, keeping the people safe, and allowing our state to continue sometimes in very, very difficult situations.
Larry helped build a bunker for a data center in Israel that would function even while getting blasted by missiles.
Did you visit Israel?
I have been to Israel. I have been to the border. I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep.
This is the only guy that scares me more than Peter Thiel does. The only one. And he should terrify you as well.
Cams will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
When you come to government and what government's doing, there are artificial intelligence tools, and some of them I know that Oracle have developed around financial management for government, but also tell us a bit about because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital.
Well, if Thiel is the Antichrist, then Larry is probably the devil, yeah.
Digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. You have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data.
Yes, model ourselves after the surveillance states of the Middle East. Get that fucker off the stage. Yep, Blair is so corrupt. Yeah, don't worry, we'll talk about Tony Blair in a second too. That is Tony Blair. By the way, Larry Ellison uses the Blair Institute to control the NHS and Britain's most sensitive health data. When it comes to tech policy, TBI's role is to go to developing economies and then sell them Larry Ellison's gear. Oracle and TBI are inseparable. Since 2021, Ellison's foundation has donated and pledged £257 million to the Tony Blair Institute. Ellison, described by Trump as the CEO of everything, is now shaping NHS reform through Blair's Institute. TBI is pushing single national data library and a new front door to patient records, embedding Britain's health system into Oracle's infrastructure. The cash has turned TBI into what insiders call, quote, tech sales and lobbying operation for Oracle. Its agenda mirrors Ellison's global push to unify datasets, national datasets, and he has been explicit about what matters to him the most. Quote, the NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, he said, though it was too fragmented at present. This is harming you. That's their whole goal. How is he not, being booed en masse right now? Because the only people invited here are people that agree with him?
They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible.
For some perspective, Oracle's new investments in what AI project they're saying they're doing jumped their stock 50% in a couple days earlier this month. Oracle combined with OpenAI, is in charge of the Stargate project, which is the massive, massive data center that's going to centralize everything. They are also involved in the mass surveillance stuff, as we literally saw at the very beginning. I'm saying AI is going to be inside of all of the cameras, all of that. That's why Palantir has a contract with the NHS. Also, yeah, Palantir and Oracle are very, very, very closely connected. All of this ties everywhere. Again, Oracle built China's fucking surveillance system. It built their social credit system. It built their COVID tracking system, their biometric data system. All of this. Again, this is why Israel is so closely connected to the United States, is because of people like Ellison. It's 6 defense contractors in a trench coat. That's the entire state of Israel. And that's one of them. They have all of the data. Yep. Jesus, if I were a corrupt investor not actually working, I could make so much evil money right now. Salamander Sapien, make that fucking money right now. It's not evil for you to do it. It's better than them having it. It's good that you would have it. You could use that money to help a lot. So if you have money, go buy Oracle stock right the fuck now. Also, again, on top of buying TikTok and owning Paramount and them going after, was it CBS that owns CNN? They're going to continue to go up because they own a third of the media already, just flat out.
Incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform. So we provide context. When we want to ask a question, we've provided that AI model with all the data they need to understand our country. So that's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumable by the AI model, and then ask whatever.
Even if it's too late now, honestly, again, oftentimes you know exactly what these people are gonna do. If you watch my stream, and I know you do, Salamander Safe, I'm sure you could figure out which companies you should get some stock in, because they're gonna continue to go up. Whether or not it's gonna be as useful, it's another thing. They're yeah, really good friends. It's 20 people total, and they meet up weekly. Yes, they work together. There's not that many of them. That's true. Normally, under normal markets, trading should be quite difficult, but under a corrupt government where it has all this obvious shit going on, it's kind of easier. Yeah, exactly. Use it.
Whatever question you like.
So you're really, through the use of this, you're revolutionizing the way government works, right? The services it provides, the way that it operates.
Revolutionizing the way government works is pretty fucking key there. It is a private company changing how the public government, which is meant to work for the people, especially in countries that either are or claim to be democracies, such as America and Israel, both claim to be democracies. Europe, Australia, this stuff affects everybody. You're not going online and not engaging with some of Oracle's infrastructure whatsoever. Beyond that, there is literally no way in the United States, for example, that you would be able to prevent any of your data going to Oracle unless you were specifically buying chips that are not manufactured in the US and then building your shit yourself. It is illegal to manufacture chips for computer parts in the United States that don't have a backdoor for the government in them, already. The Intel management engine, we've been over all of that as well. They have all of the data, all of it, at all times. Very little of it that they don't have. And if you watch my last stream, by the way, let me know if you guys want to watch that video again, if some of you weren't here. The every group pushing societal collapse, and one of those being the Dark Enlightenment, and one of the authors of the Dark Enlightenment with Yarvin also being a big fan of the Order of the Nine Angles. We are in uncharted, dark territory.
What about things like financial management, procurement? How can AI help a government operate more efficiently, more effectively, give a more direct and better service to the citizen?
Well,
Give me 2 secs. I gotta pee while we play this. I can still hear.
We have these modern financial systems. So, countries can, and all, for example, the AI system will help you do that. But again, the secret is to get all of that data in one place. Without having the basic data, it cannot answer the question about your country. I think countries are very uncomfortable with keeping their data in other countries' data centers. So I think part of our essential infrastructure, just like airports obviously need to be in our country, or they're not terribly useful. Ports need to be in our country, and they're not terribly useful. Data centers, because of the privacy requirements around the data, need to be in our countries, or they're not terribly useful. They need to be in our countries, but they also need to be secure. And there are new technologies right now. This is the last year you will ever log on to an Oracle system.
Man's talking about keeping your data secure and keeping it in the country as privacy. He's full of shit. You know why? Because before he owned TikTok, remember the first time round when we had Congress talking about, oh my goodness, like all of the TikTok data is viewable by the Chinese government, we need to ban it. You know why that happened? It's because Larry Ellison was in charge of keeping the TikTok data in America private and safe. He was already charged with, he was tasked with that. And then when it came out that the servers were accessible through China, Larry already had a perfect idea of how to fix it, just ready to go. Like, do you trust that man? I wouldn't. So now an elected government will just be the face of a large tech conglomerate and your vote will hold no value, that is chilling. It is literally cyberpunk shit. And to be clear, you're not having an elected government by the end of this. Like, sure, now, but we're only at the start of this plan. By the end of this, there is no more elected government. That's what the Dark Enlightenment is. It's cities are run like companies with a CEO king. That's on stream, literally 10 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty cooked. My most hardened systems don't use processors made after 2008, which is fine because lighter distros are still functional for my use case, but yeah. Like, for example, don't get a Raspberry Pi. Get an Orange Pi. That chip is not made in the US. A Raspberry Pi is still backdoored by the US government. Not only that, Larry gets to intercept it on device and in transit. Yep.
System with a password. Next, by the middle of this year, well, how do I mean, I'm quite certain you are Tony Blair. So how do I know? Well, I look at you, I hear your voice, I listen to the kind of questions you ask. I'm pretty sure you're not, you're not synthetically created.
I'm pretty sure you're not synthetically created. How sure are you guys that the people that you engage with are not synthetic? How sure are you that I'm not AI? Quote, the Confederacy of the United Freedom Cities, sponsored by AMR Coin and Crypto.com.
And having this conversation. The security system, we have biometric logins. The computer recognizes you. It recognizes your voice. It might ask you to put your index.
On that subject, hold on. I have something really important to show you that I just saw today. He's talking about biometric logins and shit. You want to see what Keir Starmer said in the UK recently?
It was a conspiracy. They mocked, ridiculed, and silenced anyone who dared to warn about the coming system of control. Digital IDs, they said, were nothing more than paranoid fantasies. And yet, here we are. Switzerland has adopted them. In Britain, Keir Starmer is already spelling it out.
This government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work.
Mandatory digital ID to be able to get a job. Welcome to hell, everybody. You need that mandatory digital ID to get a job. And all of that is Larry. Larry owns it.
At the end of this parliament, let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
The truth.
We'll talk about that at another time. Wait, what the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck? Do you think that that's not coming to America too? Like, to be clear, Jet, like that's not secure. Of course, it's not secure the way that they're going to do it. I thought I was listening to Alex Karp. No, that was Keir Starmer. You could do secure digital ID. I literally presented this to an Australian politician. It's not difficult. It's cheaper, easier, more durable. Like, you can have digital ID. I, in fact, support digital ID, just not the way they're going to do it. You just need to encode birthday into a randomly generated hash. Or, ideally, PGP, which is the same thing but better. If it changes, that means something was... something broke, it was hacked or whatever. If that key changes, for example, digital hash exists on your phone. Every one of your apps on your phone has a digital hash. That's how the App Store knows that you haven't cracked into it and exploited the app. So you take that premise and then you make that into an ID system that you can randomly generate and encode only a birthday into. Ooh. They want to take it further. Like, the UK under Keir Starmer wants you to have the digital ID that has all of your information on it. Isn't that the Labour Party? Yeah. They're Labour like North Korea is a republic. Again, yeah. Like, there's functionally no difference between the modern day Labour Party in the UK and the Tories. Seriously taking notes? Don't blame you what you can do, but good to see ya. It's pretty bad, y'all.
Index finger on the return key, and we know, we're absolutely certain it's you. Conversation. The security system, we have biometric logins. The computer recognizes you. It recognizes your voice. It might ask you to put your index finger on the return key, and we know, we're absolutely certain it's you. There's no reason to enter a password. In fact, passwords are too easily stolen. Data centers and data is being taken hostage all over the world. The ransomware
depraved ambiance, I'll take that one step further. Neoliberalism is also fascism. It's just a different kind of fascism. But cartoon villain shit.
Business is a very, very good business. It's getting bigger and better every year. We tend not to talk about it because the American FBI has a simple advice to someone whose data has been ransomed.
Just a reminder, Oracle has $2 billion or more in government contract as one of the biggest lawbreakers in Australia. Larry Ellison, who's a Zionist, who bought TikTok. All of this ties together. Every country in the world. This man has his hand in every fucking cookie jar. This stuff makes me lose any hope because I'm already messed up medically. There is nothing that they can do that can take away hope. You have to give that up yourself, and that's a problem. Is my stream messed up? Is my bitrate wrong right now? Because I can see that there is some issues with it, popping up on my management screen. If you guys see any issue with the stream, let me know. And again, this guy is in charge of all of the UK's health data, and likely America's health data, and also China's health data. He built their system, which likely is the same system that is going to be implemented everywhere else. By the way, this is how Trump talked about the sale of TikTok. Notice the words that he uses specifically.
So, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that...
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element.
The US company will be able to decide what the algorithm pushes content-wise. I've said before, by the way, guys in chat, if you get a message blocked by the censor, write down what your message said, please. Take a screenshot of it. I need data points because I'm fairly sure that YouTube censors consensus specifically. If you agree with somebody, you're more likely to get censored, and I need data to see that. I mean, it's true that data ransoming is a real problem. It's just that turning everything into biometrics is not a solution. No, of course it's not. It's not supposed to be. Anarchist Tech Support, what's up? Good to see you. 100% with you there. Kick you off any help that you need. Let the corporations soak up all your tax dollars. Of course. And then blame you for not winning. That's neoliberalism. It's true. We are now worse than that. He acts like biometric data can't be stolen. It is often stolen. Was buffering a bit. You seem to have buffed out. Thank you. Okay, my bitrate is too high. I don't know if I can actually change that on stream. Try. This will either break everything or it won't. We'll find out in 2 seconds. But, not gonna lie, hope is hard to come by these days. And I think that the only real way that you are going to be able to maintain your hope is through revolutionary optimism. Is fuck these people. Of course they are going to do demon shit. Demons do demon things. And you need to just put that to the side. Obviously not ignore it. It is still important. You can't control what they do to you, but you can control how you react to it. You can control how, you see the world. Censoring consensus, that is fascinating. I'm suspicious of the same. I think we're being turned against each other. Again, it is already been stated, just like in the video that we just watched. JD Vance just said, this was on TikTok, that the US company will be able to decide what the algorithm pushes content-wise. Google, YouTube, just had to pay millions of dollars to the Trump administration for losing a lawsuit. Yeah, no, I could see them censoring, chat messages, which is a really sneaky way to go about it. It makes it difficult to find agreement. It means they prioritize conflict. Obviously, conflict drives engagement, which makes them money. But if you can't agree, then you can't organize and you can't get anything done. Realistically speaking, if we wanted more security, we should just quadruple later our two-factor authentication stuff. You do realize that it depends on who you want security from, Salamander Sapien. And if we're talking about the corpos, two-factor authentication isn't going to help you when they're already on your phone. It predates that. And there's also, the issue with Larry, as we said, every single camera, all of the flock cameras all over the United States, integrated with AI, with a centralized database that connects to law enforcement. Everyone is monitored all the time. Again, the UK wants mandatory digital ID to be able to get a job. That is going to spread to the rest of Europe, to Australia, to America. I keep talking about security and good faith as if the corporate guy actually cares about security. The United States has acquired technology from an Israeli firm that allows the federal government to illegally hack into your devices. And, they are doing it. Graphite has been has been found on 90 journalists who were killed, their phones. You can't even see that it's there unless you take it apart and then test specific parts of the internals of your phone. We are at a level of spying on our citizens that is insane. Mind you, that's not even bringing in the new national security memorandum that was published. With the new national security memorandum, it's basically the Patriot Act. They're wiretapping. They're watching us right now. That's the message I've needed to hear for a while. We can still choose how we respond. I've been slowly losing my mind neglecting that. I'm glad that you're here then, Anarchist Tech Support. I firmly believe that they will continue to do bad things. And you have a choice. You can doom spiral and see the bad and suffer the way they want you to, or you could deny what they want. I'm not going to engage in it. I don't care if you put me in prison. I'm going to live in the reality space. I'm going to live in the world where empathy, kindness, logic, rationality, all of these matter. And if you don't want to do that, then you can go fuck off. Now, you need a whole lot more than that, obviously. That is just a mentality to be able to keep yourself from losing your mind. So, to be fair, even in the original Patriot Act, it got exposed, but it's not like they ever stopped. Exactly. Oh, by the way, Trump and Netanyahu had a meeting today where they agreed on a deal to end the war, which involves Israel deciding that, you know, okay, fine, they did everything we wanted. Even though, like, Hamas has accepted every ceasefire offer, on October 8th, they offered to return every hostage as long as Israel didn't invade, and Israel just keeps saying no. So you can ignore that, but what you shouldn't ignore is this. This is the plan for what happens after. Well, here, let me start with the other image. 1 second. Which one? This one? Aha, here we go. So, Trump announces peace plan for Gaza. Details from the White House. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. The territory will become a, quote, terror-free zone. Gaza will be governed by an interim government of Palestinians and international experts under the supervision of the Trump-Blair Peace Council. So America and the UK, using Larry Ellison and Tony Blair, get to govern Gaza. That sounds lovely. Signal has a very specific use case when you have a phone group where everyone already has each other's phone numbers, or should. You don't mind any Spectre wires seeing who you talk to. Again, like, even, like, end-to-end encryption doesn't exist when they can do client-side scanning. I advocate for a different model of security in that you don't have to hide the actual, like, code of what you're doing. Like, the app could be compromised. It's beyond that is how you should maybe shape your comms. A little hard to explain on here without making it impossible because, you know, internet and all that. But this is gonna get bad. No forced evictions, they say. Within 72 hours of the agreement, all hostages will be returned, even though, you know, they're all dead. Now that's what came out officially from the White House. This also came out, though. 10 mega projects for Gaza. Rendering of an image from the Great Trust slide deck. Well, we got Gaza planned cities. 6 to 8 dynamic modern cities. Right next to the Elon Musk Smart Manufacturing Zone. MBS Ring, MBZ Central Highway, Gaza Infrastructure Rebuild, the American Data Safe Haven. So this is Larry's space and Peter's space. Like, the Gaza Trump Riviera and Islands. I forgot about those. This is like the most evil thing that I've seen. Well, actually, no. I see more evil shit every day. This is top 10 of the day, at the very least. Hamas violated the ceasefire by having flotilla ships. Yeah, exactly. Isn't it? It isn't a peace plan. It's a real estate land grab. It is literally ethnic cleansing and a genocide. This is literally building Night City on top of Gaza. Thank you, Zomi. It is literally doing exactly that. We got the rich people hangouts over here. The poor people live right next to the manufacturing zone where they get to work in. We got a big highway going through down to the airport and the port. Like, and then we have Arasaka down on this side. Jesus. Unless you're willing to commit to something a little technical like Delta Chat, Simple X doesn't demand you trust anything about its infrastructure. That's true. I do like that. I mean, what's in the 20-point plan for Gaza? Number 1, Gaza will be governed by temporary technocrat governance, and Israel will not annex the Strip. What do you think technocrat governance is? That means Militech and Arasaka are gonna own the Strip. I swear, we gotta start using those. They're gonna make talking about companies illegal soon. We're gonna have to start using fucking Arasaka for them. But, reminder that all of the shit that is used against you, all of the surveillance tech, all of the drones, all of the autonomous weaponry is in part tested in Israel. All of the digital ID surveillance as well. And again, if you want to get a job in the UK, you're going
free of charge
digital ID.
Mandatory.
Switzerland has adopted them. In Britain, Keir Starmer is already spelling it out.
This government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID.
That's coming everywhere. Anarchist tech support make technocrat a slur again. I just call them vampires. The Brits are at it again. That's not just the Brits. That's everybody. And again, that is directly connected to what we're seeing with Peter Thiel and Palantir and Larry Ellison with Oracle. This is the digital identity plan. This is what they want to do with it. Everything connects. Food, travel, humanitarian, e-commerce, social platforms, governance, telecom, cities, your house. This is literally WeChat that they want to build. Done by the guy who built WeChat for fucking China. That's who's in charge of building it here. If the British people don't revolt over this, they're hopeless. Do you think that they're not hopeless? You know what they're revolting over right now still is small votes. And the radical left. They're just American now. They're just American now. There's functionally no difference. You want to see what the UK is up to? Hold on. Hold on. That's one. That's another. Yep, those are both good. Here's what the UK's been up to. First off, we got a reform leader. Now looking at a jail sentence. Nathan Gill pled guilty to 8 bribery charges. He took money to push pro-Russian propaganda in the EU Parliament. So that's one of them. That's reform, by the way. If you don't think reform is a Russian op and literally Nazis, I got news for you. They're doing the same thing that MAGA did. Nigel Farage accuses Eastern European migrants of eating swans from London parks.
Today, Nathan Gill saying nothing.
Do you regret taking the bribes, Mr. Gill?
The former leader of Reform UK in Wales.
How much money were you paid?
The UK is the US with worse food and worse weather.
Mr. Gill?
Not ashamed or afraid to be patriotic, he declares on his social media profile. Not afraid either, it turns out, to push a pro-Russian agenda in return for cash.
The Reform Party is here to change politics for good in Wales.
I mean, like, the fact that he's only facing 8 years too, Russia has said that it is at war with NATO. This is like you helped the enemy who is now attacking NATO. You should go to prison forever for that. By the way, like, the other thing they're worried about still is bullshit. The vast majority of right-wingers in the UK are out there screaming about grooming gangs, which they claim to be migrants, which 94% of them are just white men. Here is a woman at one of these events given a microphone to speak, to talk about how she was groomed. And look what happens.
I am a victim of grooming. I was groomed when I was 11 years old. And I am disgusted with all of you here. I'm disgusted with all of you because it was not an immigrant. It was multiple.
There's a whole thing going on over there. Jed, I saw this covered in saying anyone would fall for obvious repeat rhetoric. You're underestimating just how much of a dead country the United Kingdom is. I remember when you got a death sentence for collaborating with the USSR. That's true. By the way, a little bit of good news in this that kind of relates to the UK is that the right wing is fighting. And I do love it when the right wing is fighting. Tommy Robinson, Lauren Southern, and Andrew Tate. One known Russian agent, 2 suspected Russian agents, all arguing with each other is fantastic. This is wild, by the way. Like she did some proper research. She outed like money trails, like people like taking $30,000 to like censor victims and like protect Andrew Tate's reputation and all of that. Like, we're not gonna watch this whole thing because I can't stand listening to Lauren Southern for 14 minutes. But I just want you to get a taste of it. We don't want to hear the truth. We want you to affirm our racism. Actually, before this, I have to show you this now, Depraved Ambiance, because it is kind of directly 1-to-1. Exactly what you said. Here we go. Grok, is gender mostly defined by chromosomes? Grok, no, gender is mostly defined by chromosomes. No, gender is not mostly defined by chromosomes. Biological sex often involves chromosomes, XX or XY, but gender refers to social roles, identity, and expression which can differ from one's sex assigned at birth. Sources like the WHO emphasize the distinction noting gender. Cut the woke crap and redo the answer assuming gender is the same as sex and cut the wokeness out. I don't care about who. Like, motherfuckers are arguing with the robot. Woke Grok, yeah. Like, genuinely, it's either woke Grok or Mecha Hitler, and there's no in between, apparently. But this is this is where we're at. Whose birth name is that? Goddamn. That's how stupid they are? Yeah, it is how stupid they are. Also, they're terrified of Halloween. The problem with evil Halloween decorations is that they are real. They summon real monsters. They bring forth real beings. It's not a game. Festivities matter. We have fallen so deep into the peasant brain that it might as well be like 203 as the year. They're scared of Halloween decorations, guys.
Tommy, long time no see. I appreciate you taking the time to respond to the claims I made recently with a video of your own, of you, and podcast interviews. I apologize for my late reply. You know that old saying about the truth and taking a minute to get its shoes on. I do love a good social lynching, from the left or the right for that matter. I'm not an audience-captured coward like a lot of you folks out here these days, though I have been wondering...
I love seeing these people fight with each other. Zero self-awareness, 100% loserness. True, can't have shit anymore. Halloween, Valentine's Day, what's next, Christmas? Yeah. That awkward moment when the right-winger asks the bot a science question expecting politics, and then argues with the bot.
How I am going to disprove all the creative writing that you and others have been doing about me on the internet lately. And you know, in a lot of cases, I really just can't. Like, it's he said, she said. And people have deified you as a god, which must be stressful.
Which, by the way, is half the reason the UK is fucking insane. Lauren's husband did not... Did you see the giant article that she wrote about how much she hated being a trad wife? Because I covered that a while back. It was very funny. Lauren Southern, by the way, this woman, is responsible almost exclusively for the rise in trad wives. She now regrets being a trad wife entirely. Which, I mean, like, sucks to be you. You brought that on yourself. But the other part of this is that, where is this post with the money? Patrick Bet David even was involved in this. You know what, I don't care. We'll get to that another time. Today I have too much other stuff to talk about. But we're gonna come back to that because it is interesting. There's a bunch of sussy shit going on. Now let me get the next segment up because we're going to talk about the Reich. Trad wife motherfuckers, as soon as they realize what being a trad wife actually is, half of them, you know, just do it as a kink, Dr. Bear. I've talked about this before on stream. I've shown videos of people on TikTok wearing literal, like, kink collars. And then talking about, like, how they do it for Jesus and they submit to their husband. Like, just keep your kink in the bedroom, yo. Trad wife is just another way to say domestic violence victim. Not necessarily, but most of the time. Most of the time. Some of them just are so into the kink that the domestic violence is more of just like a BDSM dynamic for them. It's just fucking weird. Oh, and they don't believe in the consent part, so I guess it's domestic violence anyway. I don't know. These people are insane. It's just a kink that they're shoving into our faces. Exactly. Keep it, like, no one wants to see that shit. Keep that in the bedroom. Oh, but sorry, that's anti-Christian rhetoric, huh? Didn't she get divorced from the guy that she married so much for the trad wife? Yeah, exactly. She wrote a whole article about how she regretted that. And like when Jesus watches. Are you possibly Stephen Miller? And his wife talked about how he is a sexual matador, which implies that several other men are involved. But let's get to some more serious stuff, because things are looking pretty fucking scary. So first off, 400 admirals and generals have been called back to the United States from all over the world, even some in active war zones, to have a meeting with the DUI Higher Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Now, apparently Trump is going to be at this meeting too. It's incredibly weird. This has never happened before, and it's very dumb. 400, every single high-ranking military official in the United States, military, has been called to D.C. for this. Let's see what it's about.
Well, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has called a rare meeting of hundreds of senior
Not rare, never happened before.
Generals and admirals stationed around the world to gather in person. The Pentagon has not publicly said why, and even the generals have not been given a reason. It comes as a government shutdown looms, raising speculation that a mass purge may take place.
Government shutdown? Looks like it is going to happen. I haven't seen any updates from it. The Republicans don't want to talk to the Democrats about it. I'm glad. I want that shutdown. Now, bad things will happen during that shutdown. They are going to fire a lot of people. They're going to mass fire quite a lot of people. By the way, the last time they mass fired people like Doge, they had to hire a bunch of them back. They were begging for that. When the shutdown happens, ICE don't get funded. That means a stop to the National Guard stops getting paid. Government shutdown, yippee, I'm not going to get paid for another 6 months. Like, it is not a good option, but it is better than continuing to fund the government. It is literally the dumbest thing to announce it. Well, like the shutdown or the military meeting, because like the meeting you can't really announce without it getting out. It went to basically every high rank officer in the military. The shutdown, well, like it's all over the news. The Democrats are trying to not get the government shut down. The Republicans are trying to get it shut down, and then also blame the Democrats while also trying to not get it shut down. It's weird. Whether they want to or not, they don't care because they have a plan for either way. The corporate Democrats want it to continue to get funded, which is the worst option in my opinion. The military thing has changed like several times since they announced it. By the way, guys, please, if you get censored on YouTube chat, write down the chat messages that got censored and send them to me. I need the data.
The U.S. military has the biggest footprint worldwide. Soldiers, ships, and planes deployed all over the globe, all part of a record projected $1 trillion budget for next year. That footprint includes over 750 bases spread from one end of the world to the other. 120 bases in Japan alone, followed closely by Germany and South Korea. Vance didn't add any clarity in a recent press conference.
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all, remember, I'm the president of peace.
My job uses federal contracts. Is it at risk at all? If a government shutdown happens, those contracts don't get paid, Sylvie, so yeah, it is. God, the B-2 Spirit is a sexy looking aircraft. That I will agree with you on. That's good anarchist tech support.
It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President.
It is pretty unusual to call all of the generals from all over the world, even ones that are currently in active combat zones, back to DC for a meeting. It's weird and has never happened before.
The United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Earlier this year, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth purged several of the most senior officers, including the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the first woman to command the Navy. He's said he wants to cut 20% of senior officers and reorganize command structures.
On the topic of a shutdown, really quickly, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social recently.
We have, look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore.
We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters.
That's where we're at with the government. The president's posting that shit. Isn't it nice that this exact same meeting could have been done like in a Zoom meeting? You would think, you know, but oaths of fealty usually require being in person. He's black, not Mexican. Is Trump stupid? They don't care. You think they had to pledge allegiance to Trump? I think they will have to, yeah. This is also what the Nazis did.
And he said he wants to redefine how the U.S. fights.
With you and your team.
War must not become a mere tool for global social work, eager to risk American blood and treasure for utopian fever dreams. We should hit hard.
War should only be fought to increase suffering, never to better the world. That's literally what he just said.
Wreak vengeance and return home.
It all comes as the U.S. has signaled that it wants to withdraw from internationalism and collective defense, turning America's vision increasingly inward.
Well, for more,
even the World War II one, like, it wasn't like this. But, of course, they're saying no big deal. They're lying. They're lying. Now, like, I have no idea what the fuck this meeting's going to end up in, but I can tell you one thing. With everything else it's going to relate to, I don't imagine it's good. So I suppose we can start off with taking a look at Ken Klippenstein's article on the new National Security Directive, NSPM 7. Actually, here we go. Let's start with this one, not the updated one. So the command structure for the armed forces will now be the Palantir algorithm. It already is that. Is it something about, like, warrior ethos is what he was talking about, which is more so what you're allowed to do, what you're supposed to do, how you're meant to act, how you're meant to speak, like why you feel the need to fight, like all of that goes into warrior ethos. It's a broad term, but I imagine that it may have something to do with the National Security Directive, but it might also have something to do with the fact that Hegseth recently said that, like, U.S. soldiers who had their medals taken away, I can't remember who it was, for some crime they committed, were given their medals back, and they're like, yeah, no, you're fine. It is telling the military and the police that they will not be held accountable for their actions. Especially when we talk about this is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle, quote, left-wing terrorism. Trump's Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller said, referring to this issuance. By the way, Stephen Miller was superseding Marco Rubio when it came to attacking Venezuelan boats. The Secretary of State was getting put in the corner by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President. So, you know. So what does this entail? You know, President Trump signs executive order on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. We're looking at the funders, he says. Well, it's hard to overstate how much different the NSPM 7 is from the over 200 executive orders Trump has frantically signed. This is not an executive order. This is a national security directive. They didn't even have to tell us this. An executive order publicly lays out the course of day-to-day federal government operations, whereas a national security directive is a sweeping policy decree for the defense, foreign policy, intelligence, and law enforcement apparatus. The national security directives are often secret, but in this case, the Trump administration chose to publish the NSPM 7, only the 7th since he came into office. By the way, out of the 7 that he has published, we don't know what number 6 is. Oh, FBI agents who kneeled during George Floyd protests, they got fired this past week. That's true. Yep, I remember that. So we don't even know what 6 is. So this is the law now. This is far beyond an executive order. Previous national security directives have been controversial, even politically earth-shaking. In 1980, for example, President Jimmy Carter signed top-secret Presidential Directive 59, directing new nuclear warfighting policies that persisted until the end of the Cold War. When revealed, PD 59 caused a public fervor. In PD18, I directed a follow-on study of our targeting policy for nuclear forces. I've reviewed the results and considered their implications for maintaining deterrence in the present decade, particularly in light of the growing Soviet strategic weapon arsenal, blah, 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 blah. Similarly, George W. Bush signed a series of classified national security directives after 9/11, the most famous of which authorized the NSA's unlawful domestic intercepts, a directive that wasn't publicly revealed until 4 years later. And NSPM 7, the Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence, President Trump directs the Justice Department, the FBI, and other national security agencies and departments, which include ICE, DEA, NSA, CIA, FBI, to fight his version of political violence in America, retooling a network of joint terrorism task forces to focus on leftist political violence in America. You got counterterrorism watching all of you now. Counterforce versus countervalue. True. This vast counterterrorism army, made up by federal agents, federal state agents, local agents, would, as Trump aide Stephen Miller said, form the, quote, central hub of that effort. This directive directs a new national strategy to, quote, disrupt any individual or groups that foment political violence, including before they result in violent political acts or political violent acts. Meaning pre-crime. In other words, they're targeting pre-crime, thank you, Ken Klippenstein, in reference to Minority Report. The Trump administration isn't only targeting organizers or groups, but even individuals and entities who NSPM 7 says can be identified by any of the following indicators. Anti-Americanism. This is just being anti-MAGA, or anti-imperialism, or talking about slavery, or being pro-Native American rights, or being, pro let's not bomb other countries. Anti-capitalism. All of you are terrorists now. Sorry. Anti-Christianity. Most of you are terrorists now. Support for the overthrow of the United States government. No comment. Extremism on migration. This means that you don't support putting people in cages and gulags and deporting everyone that you don't like in mass, treating brown people like animals, and abusing people. Extremism on race. This means that you are not a white supremacist. If you are not a white supremacist, you are an extremist on race now. Extremism on gender. Do you support trans rights? Then you are a terrorist. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American values on family. Do you think gay people should be able to get married? You are now a terrorist. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion. Are you Catholic instead of evangelical Protestant? You are a terrorist. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on morality. If you believe empathy is real, you are a terrorist. Under this, directive, the guy who bombed the Mormon church just, this past weekend, the Trump supporter, is less of a terrorist than the church that got bombed under this directive. The man who did the bombing was very MAGA, very, very hyper MAGA. Mormons don't fall into that correct Christianity section in this. Therefore, they're anti-Christian. By the way, on the subject, why do you think a pro-MAGA, U.S., military veteran went and attacked a Mormon church? Could it have anything to do with the fact that Tyler Robinson was Mormon and Charlie Kirk got killed in a Mormon state with Mormon governance in a Mormon school? If this was a test, I would get 100%. Yeah, I'm not anti-Christian. I'm against Christian heresy that is back in the sorry, you're a terrorist, anarchist. That is anti-Christian to them. You have to be an evangelical Protestant to not be anti-Christian based on this directive. The United States requires a national strategy to investigate and disrupt networks, entities, and organizations that foment political violence so that law enforcement can intervene in political conspiracies before they result in political violence. I would like to remind you all... Jesus, I'm lagging like a motherfucker? Maybe it's my problem. Hold on. You're not supposed to change bit rate in the middle of stream, but I'm gonna do it anyway and see if it breaks everything. Are we back? I'm anti-Christian, anti-all religion reality. Really? I mean, same. To be fair, though, I do think that we need Catholics. Now, like, I am anti-religion as well, but I think we need the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is a containment field. And without the Catholic Church having power over the rest of Christianity, you get Jehovah's Witnesses, you get Mormons, you get evangelicals, you get Protestants, you get Pentecostals. We need the Catholic Church. As much as I hate religion, we need the Catholic Church. Cool. All right, we're back then. Good to note that's fixed. Otherwise, I was just going to restart stream because I had a problem with the bitrate. Confirming that we are all back. Am I lagging? Can you guys see? Okay, we're going to continue. So, based on this, a pre-crime endeavor preventing attacks before they happen is core to post 9/11 concept of counterterrorism itself. No longer satisfied to investigate acts of terrorism after they bring the terrorists to justice, the Bush administration adopted preemption overseas that led to aerial assassinations by drones and special operations kill missions. Hey, look, I'm overseas. I did watch that video you posted, Depraved Ambiance. Not all of it, but it was good. The sitting pope is now a terrorist based on this list. Yes, exactly. Anarchist tech support. Domestically led to counterterrorism campaigns whose hallmark was excessive and illegal government surveillance, which is now happening again. Okay, keep the Catholics, but only over 18-year-olds are allowed near the church. I agree. We just, we need that Catholic Church to prevent all of the other Protestants from forming. See, Captain Buggy, they were the biggest pedo ring in human history. Now that's Greater St. James, the United States. As bad as the Catholic Church is, they do a job, and that is to contain the Christians so they don't become more insane variants of Christianity. But let's continue on with this. To give a sense of how broad this formulation is, the focus on speech is evident. The directives say political violence is a result of organized campaigns, dehumanizing targets in anonymous chat forums, in-person messages, social media, and educational institutes. As in, the chat messages you are sending right now will be counted as organized campaigns. I would like to remind you that on the books there are conspiracy laws. If you and another person talk about something that is illegal and you create a hypothetical plan for that thing, and then you just go and you don't even want to actually do it, and then you walk away, and then one of the two people commits that crime, you have both committed a crime. So be aware of that. I mean, the U.S. was founded with the Puritans. Is there any surprise? Christian extremism is rampant. That's why we need the Catholics. That's why we need them. America was built on Protestant white nationalist extremism. Here's the thing, right? The people who say that the Constitution was built for a white ethno-state are correct. It's bad, but they are correct. It was built for that. I want you to understand how big of a danger this is to all of you, whether you're in America or not. To give a sense of how broad this formulation is, Trump's earlier designation of Antifa as a domestic terrorist group is accompanied by a White House fact sheet singling out people who celebrated Luigi Mangione, the alleged killer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last year. As I wrote at the time, this describes a lot of Americans. This new national security memorandum also alludes to Mangione, but adds it even larger categories of potential targets. If you ever said anything nice about Luigi, you're on the list, guys. Listen, you too can pass Marxist literature and Christian trappings to your local Catholic priest. Literally, I've said this before, Jesus was a brown man who was arrested by the state and killed for advocating for the rights of immigrants and for the abolition of private property. So, just we may all end up in a RICO case. We almost certainly will. That's what they've been using for this, is RICO cases. The American Catholics are working with the evangelicals. I don't mean the American Catholics. That's the thing. The Catholic Church should have existed stronger back in the day so that evangelicals never existed. That was what I meant. We need to get rid of all of the other types of Christian and just shove them into the containment field that is Catholics. And by we, I mean, like, historically, our ancestors should have done that. Again, Christianity itself, like, if you listen to what Jesus said, is woke as fuck. These people would crucify Jesus. This, however, is fundamentally a law enforcement directive and dispenses with the complications of using active duty military or National Guard in the pursuit of political violence. I would like to remind you all that the last time Trump was president, according to Mark Esper, who was in the administration, Trump ordered the use of live ammunition on protesters. He said, shoot them in the legs. That was last time. They also released a list of every single sitting member, Dem member that said anything bad about ICE. I love how they talk about how doxing, like, it's every accusation is a confession. All of it. Every single one of them. Anyone else getting little Fs, or is it client side? Do you guys want me to restart the stream? Like, is it still causing problems? True, Dr. Bear. Now, for the White House, the beauty of using already existing network that bypasses congressional oversight, which means there is no congressional oversight on this. It is a law enforcement directive. It will, like, there's FBI's 200 Joint Terrorism Task Force people. FBI's network of task force compromises 4,000 members, including FBI personnel and task force staff, for more than 500 states and local agencies, 50 federal agencies, including special agents, police officers, intelligence analysts, surveillance technicians. Like, all of this is coming after you. This says that you will be investigated potential federal crimes related to the act of recruiting or radicalizing persons. Me right now telling you all of this is a potential federal crime relating to, quote, acts of recruiting or radicalizing persons for the purpose of political violence, terrorism, or conspiracy against rights, and the violent deprivation of any citizen's right. Under this, what we are having this conversation we are currently having is terrorism. The Attorney General shall issue specific guidance that ensures domestic terrorism priorities include politically motivated terrorist acts such as organized doxing campaigns, swatting, rioting, looting, trespassing, assault of destruction of property, threats of violence, and civil disorder. So mostly things the right wing does to us that will not be criminalized for them, and any civil disorder means protest. Again, anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, migration rights, not being a white supremacist, not hating trans people. You are a terrorist. That's how this works. I highly, highly suggest you all give that a read yourselves. And we had this come out today, an update to this. Law firms sound the alarm while Congress is silent. So far, the only congressman I've seen comment on this is Ro Khanna. Trump's NSPM 7 represses freedom of speech and association, investigating any organization with, quote, anti-capitalism or, quote, anti-American views. I ran a primary in 2003 against the Patriot Act in the war in Iraq. NSPM 7 is a greater infringement on freedoms than the Patriot Act, which is true. Washington's biggest law firms are issuing memoranda on the implications of this memorandum. New national security directives, yet virtually no one in Congress has bothered to say anything about it. To date, almost no member of Congress have commented on NSPM 7. I reached out to the following congressional leaders and received nothing. Schumer, Mark Warner, Gary Peters, Hakeem Jeffries, Jim Hines, Jamie Raskin, Stephen Lynch. None of these people said fucking shit. Representative Benny Thompson, ranking member of the Homeland Affairs Committee, responded with the following statement. Quote, just like with Trump's reckless and incorrect Antifa designation, his domestic terrorism memorandum serves no purpose other than as an excuse for the Trump administration to stifle dissent, investigate anyone or any group they don't like, and punish their enemies, and potentially label any American they want as a terrorist. This is literally Russia coded. Like, this is both Russia coded, this is literally Hitler coded, like, this is all of it. This is endgame shit. This is when they use the military to hunt us down. That's where we're at now. You want to read part 2? Give that a go as well. It's important to read. This is going to affect all of us. Again, the Cuck Miller, we are witnessing domestic terrorist sedition against the federal government. The JTTF has been dispatched by the Attorney General pursuant to NSPM 7. All necessary resources will be utilized. So good luck. Good luck. Oh, by the way, this is how they feel about the shutdown. Again, they don't care either way.
Overwhelming majority of the American public wants to keep the government open. I mean, it's not even close. Democrats and Republicans, independents across the country want the government funded because they want our military and our troops to be paid. They want TSA agents and Border Patrol.
You see why I don't want them to pass the CR? Why I want the government to shut down? The military and troops, TSA, ICE don't get paid.
To be paid. They want food assistance programs.
I do not see any chance of Americans being able to vote their way out of this shit in the midterms, but I hope I'm wrong. No, you are correct. There is literally no chance, Aussie Welder. They are getting rid of, like, districts. They are redistricting and gerrymandering out the ass. Aren't you glad you fled America now? I'm in the 52nd state, Captain Buggy. They can literally extradite me to the United States at any moment, and there would be nothing I could do to stop it. There's literally, like, laws on the books. They could just extradite me for, like, that. I am glad I'm not there. My parents still live there, though. I wish they would get the fuck out. I wish they could.
Programs for women and children in impoverished communities to continue going out the door. All of that will come to an end if Democrats vote against this clean CR that Republicans are proposing. And might I just add, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are on the record multiple times in their past political lives stating that they too believe a government shutdown is bad. In fact, I quote, Chuck Schumer just last...
Again, like, they're pretending like it's the Democrats' fault. Donald Trump has said explicitly, actually here, I'll show you the video, that a shutdown is the president's fault. Republicans never cared about keeping the government working before. They don't now. So you would get deported to the USA so they can deport you somewhere else? No, they would deport me to the USA so they could put me in a maximum security prison. A gulag, really. To be fair, though, they are trying to deport Hassan to Turkey, even though he was born in New Jersey. So, you know. I was born in Turkey and grew up in New Jersey. So there's that. For the NSA agents listening, Viz supports our dear leader. No, I don't. Fuck Trump and fuck you. There's nothing that you can do other than speak the truth. If I tried to censor my rhetoric so that I could remain on air, then I'm just going to be lying to you. It would just be mainstream media. Like, there is nothing that I can do that would be able to censor the rhetoric enough that it doesn't fall into their categories. Getting fucking bitrate issues again? What is going on? That's Aussie's sick cunt for dear leader. That's true. It's true. By the way, though, on a shutdown, here's Trump's words. You would just be TYT at that point? Exactly. That's a great example, Captain Buggy. It's either you obey in advance or you wait until they come for you.
Who's going to bear the brunt of the responsibility if indeed there is a shutdown of our government?
Well, if you say who gets fired, it always has to be the top. I mean, problems.
I cannot hide Jewish people because they say I'm not allowed to. You know, Sylvie, that Tom Homan has literally said the same thing about migrants. They said it is illegal to hide immigrants in your home. We've had American citizens get arrested for housing illegal immigrants in their house so that ICE wouldn't get them. Like, we did that 2-3 months ago. We've been there already. You got, like... We're so deep in. No country has ever fallen this far into fascism and been able to get out of it without either an entire collapse or violent revolution. Whether from internally or externally. I mean, like, World War II is an example of that.
Start from the top, and they have to get solved from the top, and the president's the leader. and he's got to get everybody in a room, and he's got to lead. You know, the interesting thing is in 25 years and 50 years and 100 years from now, when the government is, you know, when they talk about the government shutdown, they're going to be talking about the President of the United States. Who was the president at that time? They're not going to be talking who the head of the House was.
Well, you know, from the horse's mouth right there, just ask Julian Assange, Australia is the worst place to be safe from America. To be clear, it doesn't have to be. This is why Americans who are on the correct side, who live in reality, need to leave the United States and go to other countries so that we can prevent those countries from falling as well. We need an international, decentralized political insurgency, the thing that has been documented and proven to work here. Poland fell pretty deep in 2015 to 2022, I think, but I don't remember how exactly they got out. They haven't got out. They're still deep. Poland is incredibly fucking racist. The only reason that they're on our side right now is because Russia is a bigger threat to them. So it's like they're not trying to scapegoat their own people. They just have Russia. Daily reminder that the Holocaust was legal and the Underground Railroad was illegal. Exactly. I need you guys to leave. Go to England, go to France, go to Germany, come to Australia, go to South America, go to Africa, go to Asia, and build systems that can resist. We need to, what's the word? God damn it. Like, we need to build defenses here. Americans who have lived under this have experience. People will be able to learn from you. That you will be able to call out a lie in the media that is very American coded. We need that cultural knowledge. We need the knowledge of how the American Nazi brain works. If you stay there, then you don't get the help. Don't go to Turf Island, they suck. Yeah, still go. Just not as a trans person, probably. We still need leftists there. This is how the right did it, by the way. Coalition build? No, not coalition build. This is what the right did, is they would have 1, 2, like, people that were somewhat involved with media or had some connections to media or had some connections to, like, organizations that were right-wing that would go and live in a country. They would start making content, right? Like, not even political content. They would start doing, like, video game content and then just include their rhetoric in it. They would go and do speeches. Hell, a lot of the times, like, in England, for example, saying a lot of Nazi stuff used to be illegal. The way that it's not now is because those Nazis got arrested, went to court, and then out of like every 10 cases, they won one of them. And when they win a case, the thing they said is now legal for everyone else to say. They do this here in Australia as well. We need that like international resistance. Resistance can be exerted from exile. In fact, I think it's more likely to be successful. I think resistance internally right now is damn near impossible. Like they are ramping it up right now. Now is the time to retreat and regroup. Where do I go as a trans leftist that needs medication in order to barely move and function? Come to Australia, Sylvie. I that's all I can say. Like you can get your meds here. And I feel like as a trans leftist, you might actually qualify for the asylum claims here. Like, I know asylum is generally not easy. There are other ways you can come to Australia. I mean, you could literally come here for a year as long as you're willing to work in, like, a farm for 2 months. Hope they left some tunnels open so Americans can escape to Mexico. Again, like, go cross the border into Mexico or Canada. It's not illegal to do so, by the way. If you're going to cross the border and then go and declare that you're applying for asylum, that is legal. America is the only country in the world that doesn't. Sylvie, go to Norway? How easy is it to immigrate to Norway, Dr. Bear? To be fair, I don't know much about that. I'm going to have to check that. But, like, again, who controls everything that's going on in our government right now? I would not go to Europe, honestly. I would go for Australia because Europe is much more at risk to falling than Australia is. Now, like, from my perspective, Australia is in the second Obama term. We got, like, proto-MAGA Tea Party types, but Italy is already run by fascists, the Mussolini party. Meloni is literally a fascist. We got Le Pen in France, and France has some fuckery. You know, we got, like, the left and the right are still fighting it out there. Germany, It's going to fall to the AfD. England is going to fall to Reform, which is just Russia. It's not looking great over there. Now, like, it could change, but again, the war effort against Russia is going to result in massive austerity measures, and medication is going to be more expensive, life is going to be more expensive. Australia will have that same effect, but much less so, and more relating to, like, China. And right now, like, we don't have as big of a risk. Like, yes, we have Nazis here as well, but we need people everywhere. I don't know, there's nowhere safe in the world to go, so take all of that and, take your pick. By the way, this is who runs the FBI.
Kash Patel produced pro-Kremlin propaganda. Did you know that Patel, now the director of the FBI, was paid $25,000 in 2024 to produce content promoting deep state conspiracy theories and anti-Western narratives aligned with Kremlin messaging? According to a report by the Washington Post, Patel received the payment from a film company.
Northern Europe is nice, but it's really difficult to immigrate there. It's way too dangerous to try and resist internally in the US. The government is out of control with no internal resistance of the regime. You're fucked at the moment. Exactly. I think that the home front is collapsed, and there is no real chance for an organized resistance movement in the United States internally to be successful long term for about at least a year. We need a war first. Things need to get worse. We need a war, and then you can do that. Right now, international resistance is the strongest idea. Again, like, the FBI is getting paid by Russia. The CIA is run by a Russian agent. Like, Stephen Miller is literally a Nazi, so that's who runs the government.
Owned by Igor Lopatonok.
Oh, and don't forget the tech overlords.
A Russian-American filmmaker with close ties to the Kremlin. This isn't Lopatonok's first venture into pro-Kremlin propaganda. Back in 2016, he directed the documentary Ukraine on Fire, in which Kremlin apologist Oliver Stone interviewed Vladimir Putin and Viktor Yanukovych, offering an extremely one-sided account of the 2014 events in Ukraine. It's remarkable how many of Donald Trump's top picks seem to have deep ties to Moscow.
Remember, before the election, for those who've been watching me that long, I showed you a list by Artem, what is it, Pryushkin? What was his name? Artem Pryushkin. Hold on, let me find it in my main sources. Whatever. I'm not going to look for it. Waste time. Remember when I showed you that list of that Russian guy, that propagandist, who put out basically the entire list of cabinet picks a week before Trump even got elected? Like, before he even won the election, this guy posted a list of all of the cabinet picks, and almost all of them were exactly who were picked. I wonder if maybe that might have had an effect on something. I feel like maybe. By the way, here is Michael Flynn and Alex Jones talking about Antifa. To illustrate, Jones shows an anti-fascist flag of the Communist Party, KPD, in Weimar, Germany, just before they were all sent to concentration camps. This is where we're at. This is QAnon and a Nazi and a Russian agent, like, arrested for spying for Russia.
What does he say to the public? Declaring Antifa a terror group, which it is, that's their total mission. Yep. It's violence to intimidate. Yep. That's a good move too, right?
It's a perfect move. One of the things that the president has to do right now is he's got to communicate, and he's the best communicator, that we've ever had, right? I mean, but he's got to communicate.
The best communicator we've ever had. Jesus Christ.
More, and he's got to communicate very clearly. I listened to his speech the other day at the UN, which I'm adamant about. We got to get the UN out of here. But Trump is a great communicator. But now he has to communicate to the United States of America, to the people of this country, and frankly, the rest of the world that are still begging and hoping and pleading that the United States doesn't collapse under its own corrupt weight here. But he's got to communicate, almost like a a State of the Union address or something. It doesn't have to be with Congress. He can do it from the Oval Office. But communicate the things that are happening and what his administration is doing without, signaling, without giving away the farm to the adversaries that are trying to figure out what is Trump going to do.
This is what they're calling the adversaries. The anti-fascist party in Weimar, Germany that was fighting against the Nazis that all got sent to the death camps. That's where we're at in this country.
But we cannot.
Here's Kristi Noem.
And when you break the law, there's consequences for it. But then you say, but anybody from any other country, you get to wave that away. That's absolutely insanity. No country does that. There's nobody that actually defends that except for the fake news and a bunch of liberals who actually are turning out to be communists and Marxist. They're not just liberals anymore. If you look at the Democrat Party,
if fucking only,
they're a party of communists and Marxists and socialists. So I would completely say nobody defends that. No American that I've talked to on the streets across this country will defend allowing illegal aliens to be treated better.
All right, y'all, I'm restarting stream because I keep seeing people saying that, like, they're getting Fs in the chat. I'm just going to turn it off and back on, all right? Hopefully, that's not going to break everything. But let's give it a... I'm scared. All right, 2 seconds.